I have played and watched Mr. Fantastic at the highest ranks and he's not as strong as you might think. And here are the 4 reasons why. Lack of mobility, can't really off-angle, low damage, and weak ultimate. Number 1, he doesn't have a proper movement ability. If you've noticed, every duelist in this game has the ability to disengage safely and engage. Mr. Fantastic has somewhat the ability to engage. It's not great, but it is not bad. However, the problem lies with the disengage part. Let's assume you engaged Luna and you try to kill her and she got healed, it didn't work out. You're dependent on a teammate that has to be very close to you for you to disengage. If there's no teammate around, the likelihood of you dying increases tenfold simply because you can't disengage. Even if you're a one above all player and your team knows how to position, it still doesn't take away the fact that you need them in order to make a play, which creates a problematic foundation for a hero and very frustrating. So for example, if we take BP and we go try to kill the Luna, we actually can kill her reliably pretty fast, but even if we don't, she gets healed, I can always either use the second dash to get out, but if my dash messed up, I can always kick out of the way and wall climb. Iron Fist. I can close the distance, like this, they turn around, boop, I disengage, and use my wall run. Magic. I decide to engage, doesn't work out. Look how much distance I managed to cover, and I couldn't be shot. Even longer range heroes in this game have somewhat good mobility. Oh, I'm contested? I'll fly out. Look how much distance I managed to cross. There's not a single hero in the DPS cast at the moment that does not have a movement ability. A proper one to disengage without relying on your teammates. Even if there was a hero with no proper movement ability to disengage, it has to be a long-range hero. If you think about Black Widow, for example, Black Widow stays far away, and that's why she doesn't need an immediate movement ability. However, I would say the sprint with a jump is pretty reliable. Number 2, he can't create a separate angle from his team. This ties up to the first point that Mr. Fantastic doesn't have a movement ability. The problem with that is that he can't really off-angle. One of the most fundamental rules to carrying your games is using off-angles. This is a team fight. Your team is over here, the enemy team is over here. If you stand with your team, every time somebody's gonna shield or heal or anything like that, or use an ability, you will take the damage and they will react to damage. If they can see you, they can react to you, even by accident because they're trying to react to your teammate. However, if you move to the off angle, all of a sudden it's a lot more problematic and surprising to the enemies. And you can attack them. So now they're forced to deal with you. And if they turn around to you, they can't see your teammate who's shooting at them. You're basically dividing their attention and also dividing their resources. And it's much more likely for you to find a pick. And I'll give you a very basic example. Think about it like this. If I were to play Black Panther, for example, am I more likely to get a pick on an enemy when I'm doing this? Well, of course the bot cannot react. Or if I were to do this, for example. The answer is very obvious. If I do it from the off angle, which was over there. The reason being is because he cannot see me coming, therefore he cannot predict or react fast enough. And even if he somehow manages to react, it still means that my teammate who was just shooting at him continues shooting at him without the enemy reacting to him. Once the ability to off angle is being taken away from you, your carry potential dramatically decreases. It's not by a little, dramatically. And the reason why you can't off-angle is because what allows characters to off-angle is their abilities to disengage. So if I were, as I said, Black Panther, I could just kick out or just dash out if things went really bad. However, if I were to off-angle a Luna that is sitting at the back, I can't run away because if there's no ally at this range, I cannot do anything. So my off-angles are limited in close proximity to my teammates, which again limits my playmaking by a large margin. So let's say Luna was lagging behind. You go, try to attack her.
Your failure was inevitable.
But let's assume teammates are helping, or she turns around to freeze you. Well, all of a sudden, you have to run, taking all this damage before you can actually disengage.
Trouble has arrived.
Now you can argue the point that you can use a cooldown, like your shift,
Let me return the favor.
to possibly close distance to your teammates until you live. But still, if the enemy is way too far away, even that wouldn't help you. And it seems a little bit ridiculous that you have to use 2 cooldowns only to disengage. Number 3, he has low damage per second. If Mr. Fantastic had a lot of damage, he could compensate for his shortcomings. For example, let's see how long it takes me to kill a Luna with no cooldowns. I'll count in my heart. I counted over 5 seconds. Let's assume I do use my abilities.
Not so fast, friend. That was
It
simple.
still takes a very long time to even kill a Luna in the practice range. She doesn't react There's no help. Nobody turns around to help. There's no heal. There's no abilities. So in the match, it's actually near impossible to kill someone unless you are in bronze and they really don't pay attention to you while you're hitting them for 10 seconds. The problem is not necessarily with the damage number. It's combined with the fact that it takes them 1.5 seconds to be able to attack somebody. So you have no ability to disengage when you're in danger. You have no ability to off-angle, which will cause a distraction, which is good enough to win teamfights a lot of times. And now you don't even have the damage to compensate for it. Now, if we were to compare to something like Magic, look how long it actually takes me to kill Luna here. Pretty damn fast. Any other hero. Kill fast, disengage. Even if I don't get the kill, even if they react and I don't get the kill, at the very least I can try again within a few seconds. Because I can disengage and I can do it safely. Think if Mr. Fantastic could kill somebody as fast as this. It would compensate pretty well for his disadvantages. Number 4, he has a weak ultimate ability. Based on the things that I just mentioned, you would think that Mr. Fantastic would have an exceptional ultimate ability. Well, let me show you. You jump in the air, and here's Luna Snow. Ironically, even if I were to shoot just left click and just throw an ability here and there, I would probably kill her faster. Now, you would probably understand in the middle of the fight, you would get healed, and people were to shoot you, or people were to use some abilities to mitigate your damage. This happens to the point that I've seen support players quite literally ignore Mr. Fantastic's ultimate, and they don't die, and nothing happens, because they know they're gonna live it. It's gonna sound a little bit funny. The best ways that I've seen Mr. Fantastic use their ultimate is to disengage. So, for example, they engaged, and they were low, they would just use the ultimate to just try to run away. Which works quite reliably. Imagine if you had the ability to do so with a cooldown. As you understand, when you're a duelist, what helps you build ult charge is damage. So every time you do damage, you see 2% goes up. And because of the slow animation and not very high damage output, it will take you a very long time to build your ultimate, which should be the best way for you to win a team fight. But it doesn't even do that. After addressing all these points, things might seem a little bit gloomy, especially if you like the character, but later I will give some suggestions that are very easy to implement. To further prove my point, I want to show you a one-above-all YouTuber and streamer, Zebra, play Mr. Fantastic. He's a very good player and, more importantly, a very fundamentally sound player. Here Zebra is playing Mr. Fantastic. You might see the frown on the enemy team, which is also a pretty big streamer, a one-above-all player. And I'd like you to remember the 4 key points that I mentioned before, because I'm going to be referencing them a lot. He's very frontal to the enemies and he's taking a bunch of damage simply because he cannot go to the off angle. Oh, he's about to die. You know, any other duelist could just jump out. And you know what? I would even say beyond this point, any other tank could disengage here. Venom would be able to grapple. Thor could use his hammer to disengage. Doctor Strange could fly. Penny could grapple. Notice that Zebra is not using his time to set up because he can't engage from the off angle. He's forced to be glued to his teammates. He cannot separate himself. Like, for example, if you would play any other duelist like Psylocke, Black Panther, or something like that, you would simply go here. Now, technically, he can do it, but only under the condition that his team is going to push from here. But even if he goes there, the best thing he can achieve is just a distraction for a second. He's not gonna kill Invisible Woman or Luna, especially when they're healing each other. But even if they wouldn't heal each other, he wouldn't be able to kill them. Because he simply does not have enough damage. But let's see how it plays out. So he does move to the off angle. He tries to use an ability, but let's say he hits it. So what? It might seem like he did a lot of damage, but to be honest, everyone was shooting Doctor Strange, and also the Moon Knight uses ultimate. Look how he tried to help his Luna. Look how close he had to get to her. It took so long to go and help his Luna. Bear in mind that almost everyone have already used their ultimates or they have it. He's one of the last characters in the game, while being very good player and constantly trying to damage to get his ultimate. What did I say? He tried to use his ultimate to disengage because he does not have a disengage ability. And he doesn't have enough damage to take the fight of either of them. Zebra has already died 2 times simply because he didn't have the ability to run away, like any other hero. He tries to take a 1v1 against Psylocke. He doesn't have enough damage to kill her. He doesn't have an ability to disengage if he was low. he has nothing. But even if he's next to his teammates, the best thing he can do is do enough damage that he's gonna get followed up. And let's be real, most of the time you're not gonna get the follow-up damage from your teammates. And what makes Marvel Rivals fun, inherently, is that you have the ability to kill enemies on any hero. Or rather, almost any hero. Again, from the outside perspective, it might seem like Zebra is actually doing something, but the person that did the stuff is Doctor Strange. Look what happened from his perspective.
By the eye of Agamotto.
Ironically, look how Doctor Strange off-angles by himself and kind of separates himself from the team. He's moving forward and to the left, forces everyone to look at him. Worst case scenario, he has a shield, he can fly out. Zebra just kind of cleans up anyone that has no HP. And even then, barely. But assuming his Strange wouldn't make this play, how would Zebra be able to carry this fight?
Feeling fantastic.
Notice how in this exchange, he's definitely not the favorable one. He's getting spammed healed by his support, and he literally did 0 damage to the enemy Thor or Psylocke. Notice that when he's separated, he's taking a lot of damage, and he starts looking where his teammates are so he can get some help, perhaps. Or click E2. I mean, I don't even need to say anything about that. Again, he used his ultimate to disengage. And this, not of course to throw a jab at Zebra. He's a phenomenal player, and it's not like he messed up by clicking his ultimate. That was the only way for him to actually disengage from the Psylocke ulti, and even then, it didn't help.
By the eye of Agamotto, the god of thunder!
Notice how the entire time he's just chilling with his team, just waiting for something to happen. He cannot do anything by his own.
Their team's capture progress.
The only way he lives is because of a bubble. He's trying to kill a solo support with half HP and he can't, simply because he does not have enough damage. And he attacks so slowly that Luna can heal him between the attacks.
Keep going.
Here again, he has to play next to his team. He cannot set up because he has no ability to move or disengage. Now, you could say that he's playing as if he's a tank, but even a tank could engage from off angles. Like, for example, Thor is very rarely seen with his team in high ranks. He's creating a lot of space by engaging from the off angles and the flanks. And he then spins his hammer to disengage. He's using cover really well. He's keeping his distance. He understands how to avoid their abilities. But look, there's simply no damage. He can't do anything with that. He doesn't do anything with that. He's playing fundamentally well, but it doesn't make big difference in teamfight. Now, does it mean that he's completely useless? No, but think about if you would have been Magic in these fights and played the same. Think about if you would have been Psylocke in these fights and played the same. Think about if you would play Black Panther in these fights and would have played the same way. With cover, with good distance, with good cooldown rotation. I actually can't remember. It's been like 10 minutes of gameplay, and I have yet seen Zebra get a kill on someone that was not 1 HP. Again, no ability to disengage. Now, technically, you can say that he could have moved back and click E on someone, but the enemies were engaging his black line, so they wouldn't have really helped. So he would have used his E to move to a teammate who's already dying, and he's going to get him killed as well. Here, Zebra is using his ultimate. He doesn't really do great damage. He ends up killing the Invisible Woman, but I think his teammates also did a bunch of damage to Invisible Woman. Now, I'm not gonna say they didn't contribute at all, but let's be real. Again, with his team, can set up, can create an angle. Forced to use his abilities to protect his teammates. No damage, because he can't do much. You see, like the way he uses cooldown, especially the shift ability where he absorbs damage, is amazing. That gives you an understanding. This is a guy who knows how to play the game. Not much he can do. He's in front of everyone. What else could he do? Go for a flank? And then they turn around, what will we do? Now, of course that he's somewhat contributing. And of course he's playing really well. But as I said, think about if you would play any other duelist here. Spoiler alert, Zebra did end up winning this game, but I think a big contributor to that is the fact that his team was playing phenomenally well. And he did just enough to not lose this game. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Mr. Fantastic does no damage at all. Of course he does. But it's not enough to be able to carry a match. That's the point. Now, notice that every time he died is because he couldn't disengage, because he has no ability to disengage. He sometimes uses his ultimate to disengage, and even then it didn't work. Number 2, notice that every time he attacked someone, it was usually the tanks or an overextending duelist. Why? Because he doesn't have the ability to engage the enemies properly, because he can't off-angle and set up in advance, because he doesn't have the ability to disengage. Number 3, he didn't do a whole lot. I mean, he kind of contributed with the damage, but it was very minimal. The kills were very, very low. Throughout the entire match, there was not a single time Zebra got a kill single-handedly. It was always a teammate following up, or was always a teammate bringing them to low HP and he just finishes the kill. Because he has low damage output, and you can actually get heal and react a lot in between the punches. Number 4, even with the ultimate, he barely got any kills because it simply does not do enough damage, and also there's a lot of downtime. Now, when you're inside somewhere, like in a building, the bounces are faster, but still, even then, it's not enough. He actually used his ultimate a lot of times to try to disengage, which says a lot that the ultimate is not great. Now, as I said, he ended up winning the match, and he has 16k damage, but he's one of the lowest kills in the server. And pay attention to the enemy Thor, enemy Strange, enemy Namor, enemy Psylocke. They all have significantly more damage and significantly more limbs. And it's not like they have more deaths. He actually died 8 times. And it's not because he doesn't know use his shift well. As you saw, he used shift a lot of times to mitigate even ultimates. It's that he doesn't have the ability to run away and stabilize and disengage in the middle of the fight. Now, I know that so far the video has been quite gloomy because Mr. Fantastic is cool, but I would like to give some suggestions of how to simply improve the character. Number 1, you can simply make his attachment either longer, which would still not fix the issue, or make it attached to objects or walls. So, for example, you know, if you would click E here, you could attach and move to that position. If you'll be able to attach to walls, you're not going to be team dependent, and more importantly, you'll be able to set up on your own and disengage if things go bad, and that lets you create off angle. But that fixes the ability to live by disengaging and the ability to set yourself away from your team and engage on your own terms and try to create distractions and even get kills on isolated targets. Now, his shift ability is quite good and I have no complaints about it. So I'm gonna move on to the point number 3 as we covered the first 2 with just a simple fix to his E cooldown and his attach cooldown. You have to increase his damage or at the very least attack speed. I would prefer to have increased attack speed rather than damage simply because it allows the enemies to react. However, it cannot be out-sustained if you're doing it properly. So what I mean by that, in between the punches, Luna can still heal. However, Luna will still be able to heal if the punches were faster, but she would not be able to fully sustain. So right now, if you were to attack someone, Luna could out-heal forever. You will not be able to kill the enemy no matter how you tried. But if the attacks were faster and it did damage faster than Luna can heal, that means that you actually have the ability to kill, and it's not only that he's healing that is going to mitigate you, but actually they will need to shoot you and use abilities. And basically, stop you from attacking. Now for this ability, the one that attaches the right click, I found it to be very engaging. I don't think that it needs too many fixing. It pulls the enemies in, but again, even if you pull the enemy in, and you can't kill him, what's the point of pulling the enemy in? Now you can say to your team, but again, what if you're by yourself and try to get a kill on the Luna that's lagging behind? My suggestion for the ultimate is quite simple. Either keep the ultimate as it is right now, the way it works, and just increase the damage, which could help, or you can make the ultimate jump infinite amount of times as long as it hits somebody. So for example, just like Bucky, you need to kill someone to have it again. So as long as you keep bouncing, it's gonna go forever. With low output of damage, however, if you jump 10 times, now it's gonna become lethal, and it will force the enemies to deal with you, either by stunning you, simply disengaging, or just killing you. Now, if you don't care about any of the points that I've made, and you're still not convinced and would like me to create a guide of how to play Mr. Fantastic, you can leave a comment down below. I'm gonna tell you how to play him the most optimal way, but I'm gonna tell you, spoiler, it's gonna be very difficult to carry games. If you like my guides and you like my stuff, you can check out my videos, subscribe, like. Appreciate it.